Hello everyone once again. It is me, McWolf, your fine presenter here. I don't know why I'm talking like that. Speedrunning isn't really something I'm all that into. I'll be honest. Speedrunning is something that just kind of, happens sometimes. Like, I'll be honest, I've only speedrun once. To be completely honest, I did, I think it was... Yeah, it was Grand Theft Auto 4. I used all the cheats and got around the safe pass. So, yeah. More or less, that's how I did speedrun. But all speedruns are kind of silly in their own way and how they break the game and how far people go for it. It's insane, I tell you. That's honestly true, as far as I know. Anyway. Besides that point, what could be the silliest speedrun? Because if there's one thing I've learned, the speedrunning community will speedrun just about anything. As long as it's a fun game. And they'll find ways and cheap tricks just to skip over important parts and just skip over anything. Like, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but it's kind of crazy what the speedrunning community does. But yeah, it's I don't even know what else to say. It's kind of crazy. Like I was watching videos before I went on to this about Jak 2 and Jak 3 speedruns. Well, Jak and Daxter originally. And they were crazy. I've seen some of the speedruns for Ratchet and Clank, and those are even more insane because the game is held up by a stack of cards. Anyway. Let's hit him this. Let's head into this and see where the heck Bumble McFumbles. Also, yes, we're doing Bumble McFumbles again. If you want more of him, tell me down in the comments. Please say, we want more Bumble McFumbles, or suggest a specific video. A lot of these are long, and unfortunately I have to work. And until the day I do not have to work, well, this is what we're going to have to do for a while. Alright, let's head into this.
Speedrunning is serious business.
Yeah.
It might sound simple, but playing a video game really fast requires a runner to be in top form.
They also
They
need
need to do loads of research into a game.
Yeah.
Studying the efforts of previous runners. They have
See
to
what
play
they
the
can
game
cheat
dozens
out.
of times over and over again to figure out everything about it.
It's something
and
I could
get
never
a feel
do.
for how the game works, as well as conditioning their knees to break the game over them when they fail a run. Planning around
Pretty much.
how best to optimize it can be taxing.
Wait, is this
And the
Battlefield?
actual execution of that plan
Are they
is even
optimizing
harder.
Battlefield?
Heaven help you if any part of the game is luck-based. A casual run can take days or weeks to perfect. And if you're going for a world record, you can count on it being for months, or even
Yeah.
years. We're getting so close to the perfect game of Super Mario Bros. That we're running up against the limits of human potential.
What?
With all the work that goes into trying to learn a game or claim a record,
Yeah, I'm just
one
jumping
might wonder where the
backwards.
fun comes in. These are games, after all, and
Yeah,
speedrunning can be a thing that optimizes.
Speedrunning always confused me because I could never find fun in just completing a game in a really fast way. I like to enjoy it, like I'm slowly eating a nice meal. I just could never get into it, honestly. But that's, I guess, just me.
The fun out of games for some people. Well, while the process of doing a speedrun can be hard, that doesn't mean they can't have some fun with it.
Alright.
There are plenty of speedrun categories and challenges meant to be jokes, tasking
Such
players
as?
to beat the game in unintended ways, or sometimes just complete singular challenges within the games themselves.
Alright.
They give runners the chance to cut loose and have more fun without
What is
anything
this?
major on the line like a world record.
Oh.
With the more relaxed atmosphere surrounding
A
runs like
VTuber.
this, more and more absurd challenges have arisen in the meantime to give runners something to strive for. I
Yeah.
have just a few of the strangest and silliest
I wish I could
categories
do
out
this kind of
there,
thing.
because this is a topic I'd be interested in coming back to. These are by no means the weirdest of
I
them
think the
all.
main reason that I could never get into speedrunning is mostly due to the fact of when I was younger, my family would just always rent games. That's what we always did. So I would have Sure, I would have a limited time to beat them, but I would just go through them and then try to go to the next game the next week. To see what other cool or interesting game I could play. There was a bit of a dry spell at one point, though. Yeah. Where, you know, I just didn't have any games.
All more just the weirdest I could find.
Ah, the speedroids.
Let's start with one that takes
Makes
the
sense.
dev-intended playstyle to the very limit.
Okay.
Pokemon's explosive popularity in the late 90s warped a lot of Nintendo's plans around itself.
Pretty
With
much.
sales of the Game Boy more than doubling in
Yeah.
a single year thanks to the release of the first 2 games.
There we go. I increased my
These
volume
games
just
were
a bit.
so successful that the only time they would drop in sales was when they ran out of Game Boys and copies to actually sell.
It's insane.
As soon as they were back in stock,
wonder when
sales
Pokemon
went
will
back
die.
up to normal. When playing the games wasn't enough for you, you could also watch the Pokemon anime on TV.
Yep.
Getting to see Ash catch him as he went on his own Pokemon journey, just like...
Honestly, most of the episodes were just the same to me. They're doing something, then Team Rocket shows up, steals Pikachu or someone, then they have to get him back for some reason. Yeah. Anyway. Besides that point of, what else can I say to that? Why be my is die is mostly because no king reigns forever.
like you did. Well, not exactly like mine. I noticed his Charizard didn't know Mega Punch, Mega Kick, Hyper Beam, and Blast Burn like mine did. With the popularity of the anime and the gap in releases between Gens 1 and 2, 1999 was primed to start the Pokemon tradition of enhanced third versions with Pokemon Yellow. This game put you in the boots of Ash Ketchum by giving you a Pikachu as your starter Pokemon, and introduced more
yeah.
elements from the
I've
anime.
only played, like,
your
one
rivals
of these
starting with
games,
an
so-
Eevee, the introduction of Jesse and James, and a friendship
Platinum.
system that meant you could end the game with a seriously pissed off Pikachu.
Mm-hmm.
With how much this game wants you to emulate the anime, though, what would it
Yeah.
look like if you stuck to that prompt religiously? What if you copied Ash's exact journey as it played out in the anime?
You can
That's
do
what gave
that?
birth to the speedrun category called Ash Percent, which tasks
Oh.
players with completing
This
Pokemon
is
Yellow
goofy.
in the exact way Ash completed Kanto in the original anime.
Alright.
The rules of the run are basic. You have to name your character Ash and rival Gary. You aren't allowed to use glitches, and the run ends once you beat the Elite Four and become champion.
Alright.
Already, the run is a failure, because it should make you play through the next 7 regions before you're allowed to do that.
Oh,
Where does the
God.
challenge come in?
Dear God, we are never... I won't get over the fact that it took him so many years to get up to being age 11 and beating a single tournament. Like, dear God, they want it to go on forever. Ugh.
Well, you have to catch every Pokemon Ash did in the original anime in the order he caught them.
What?
First off, a Pikachu.
Okay.
Easy enough, a few text boxes, and he's yours.
What's the next one?
Caterpie, it's the most common Pokemon in the game's first area. Pidgeotto, piece of cake. A 70% encounter rate on Route 1. Just catch Pidgey and evolve it. Except, Ash never caught Pidgey in the anime. He only caught Pidgeotto.
Oh.
You have to get Pidgeotto, who has a 1% encounter rate in Viridian Forest.
Oh, no.
What most people consider the rarest Pokemon in the forest, Pikachu himself, has a 5% encounter rate.
Oh,
You're
dear
5 times
God.
more likely to get a second Pikachu before you are to encounter Pidgeotto. If you think you can hold out until Route 5, where your chances skyrocket to 5, no
Yeah.
dice.
Oh.
Because that Caterpie of yours is a time bomb.
What?
Ash evolves Caterpie into Metapod fairly quickly.
Oh.
But by that point, he already caught his Pidgeotto. Meaning that if you want to follow the challenge, you have to get Pidgeotto before you catch Metapod. Meaning the only
Oh,
place you can
God.
get him is in the forest. After that, you have to get all 3
Good
starters.
Lord, this sounds
available
terrible.
via side quests based on anime episodes. And then begins the hunt for Krabby, a Pokemon you can only get with a Super Rod, available on Route 12.
Oh.
Between getting the final starter
God.
and getting the rod on Route 12, you're not allowed to catch another Pokemon, or evolve the ones you have. Oh yeah,
no.
if you thought you were gonna mow through this challenge with Venusaur, Blastoise, and Raichu, no, because Ash
Good
doesn't
lord.
own a Venusaur, Blastoise, or Raichu.
He has
He
only
owns a
Bulbas.
Bulbasaur,
Yeah.
Squirtle, and Pikachu.
What the
You're
hell?
also gonna want to catch Primeape at level 41 on Route 23.
Do I have to?
Except before Ash catches Primeape, he releases Butterfree. So you have to do the same and
God.
lose one of the 6 fully evolved Pokemon you're allowed to catch on this run. And getting to Primeape isn't as easy as it sounds, as Route 23 is the route right outside of Victory Road.
Good
Meaning
lord.
that if you want to get there, you need the first 6 gym badges, with your only available Pokemon being Butterfree, Pidgeotto, and 5 unevolved Pokemon, 2 of which overlap typings.
Good
But
lord.
now you can use Primeape, right? A lot of good those Gen 1 fighting types are. Well, guess what? Ash gives up his Primeape in pretty much the same episode he catches it.
Really?
So now you're down to
don't remember
only
that.
4 possible choices for fully evolved Pokemon to use for the whole game. Oh right, I forgot. You're also down a team slot since you aren't allowed to get rid of Pikachu. Then
God.
comes the challenge's most ridiculous hurdle, courtesy of the band episode,
Oh,
Legend
no.
of Dratini. In this episode, while in the worst area in all of the Pokemon games, the
Safari.
Safari Zone, Ash tries catching anything but a Tauros, and comes up short to the tune of 30 captured Tauroses.
Wow.
You guessed it. In order to accurately represent Ash's journey through Kanto, you gotta catch
30
Tauruses
Tauruses?
with a
Oh my
10%
God.
encounter rate and a high likelihood to run away. Luckily, given how unbelievably strong Tauros is in Gen 1, these guys make the rest of the run feasible by making Ash's new team 5 powered-up Tauroses with Pikachu as their manager.
That's
After
better.
that, you just have to evolve Charizard and Kingler, and you've completed the Pokemon catching side of the challenge.
Okay.
As now all that's left is to beat the game. What I love about this run is how innocuous it sounds when you first hear it.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like a fun challenge. Playing the game like Ash. Maybe I'll try that. Then the maliciousness of the wording really sinks in as you realize
Yeah.
just how many traps this challenge has waiting for you. You have a minuscule pool of Pokemon to choose from with an incredibly poor...
It really is just going Nuzlocke even harder mode. Dear God. Because you have to catch specific Pokemon. You can't make do with what you got. You have to catch specific ones. Oh God, why would anyone do this to themselves? Is it somehow fun? I don't know. Anyway. I'm gonna sneeze. As we'll see why I stopped. And why this, how should I put this? This is, still an insane run in any sort of sense of the word. Like, what the heck do I say about this besides it's insane to try?
or type spread, most of
Like-
whom you can't even evolve past their first stage because Ash is
Yeah.
a lazy bum. The biggest roadblock
That's
of the
the-
run, though, is obviously
Like,
the
there's so... What I was about to say, God damn it. Sorry, I'm stopping again. Is that there's so many ways you can softlock yourself just by accidentally evolving.
Tauroses, with the current world record holder for the Ash percent run spending 4 of the 6 hours their speed run went simply
Tauroses.
betting on finding the 30 he needed. This is even worse when you remember the Safari Zone sucks and will periodically kick you out when you take too many steps.
Oh.
And then you have to trek back to your spot to keep looking. That said, the challenge does have its fair share of allowances that give the players who dare to attempt it slightly more wiggle room. Thankfully, this Pokemon catch order has no effect on how you tackle gyms, given how you have to blitz through a lot of them to get the exact Pokemon Ash needs. If you
Right.
had to tackle each gym with the exact teams Ash had when he fought them, the run would be impossible. There's
Yeah.
no way to get to Krabby soon enough. As a result, you're able to use Pokemon like Butterfree up to their absolute limits until they stop being viable, which will take a
Which
long
is better.
time since it can learn Confusion. And a single Psychic-type move is better than most Pokemon you're not even allowed to catch. Once it's
Yeah.
time to say bye-bye Butterfree, swap him out for Primeape, use him up for all he's worth, and then
then-
replace him with Muck. By the way, did
Oh, yeah,
you
he
know
gets a Muck.
Muck spelled backwards is actually snake? And while
Oh my
glitches
God.
are banned, you can only ban so much in a game as broken as Gen 1 Pokemon.
Yeah.
Certain Pokemon are able to exploit the game's faulty AI to make fights a joke, like Giovanni's gym being helpless to stop Charizard, since they'll see he's a fire type and try using ground type moves on him.
Why isn't this working?
There's also the tactic used in the World Championship run, which is to teach Charizard Fissure and then buff him with the items X Accuracy and X Speed, which will make it so Fissure, a one-hit kill move with low accuracy, can't miss.
God
And will
damn.
make Charizard fast enough to assure it hits every time. Fissure is a meta move. What is this, Gen 9 OU? Spamming this move will get you through the Elite Four, and once it's done, the challenge is over. The player
Alright, then.
base for the Ash Challenge is extremely small, with only
Not
2
surprising.
people ever recording results
Only
on
2.
speedrun.com.
Only 2.
That Tauros requirement is really what keeps this from becoming a more popular challenge. But even
Yeah.
while it's underrepresented, it's still
It's
a
still
really
here.
fun idea that would even be revisited in Yellow's remakes, Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee.
Really?
This one actually adds even more categories like Ash percent, including 69%, which tasks you with catching 69 tails. Or Koga
Oh my
percent,
god.
where you have to make it all the way to Koga's gym, take the entry exam, and fail. Now, if we want to make Ash percent a little bit more accurate, I have a few notes here. Trade Butterfree for Raticate on the SS Anne and then trade it back. Beat
Oh, no.
Sabrina with a Haunter you don't own. Win the
What?
block fight by holding your Game Boy up to an active sprinkler system. These are just
What?
notes.
No!
But see, that's a self-imposed challenge with so many rules.
What,
Way too
is
many
this-
to keep up with.
What is this, not
How about we go
self-imposed?
for one that's much easier to understand?
Isn't most speedruns self-imposed, though? Like, no one's asking... Like, there are games that are literally just made for speedrunners now that I think about it. Games where it's all about getting to the end as fast as possible while completing, like, objectives. I don't know what those games are actually called, mind you, in the gaming world, but I know they exist. And I know that they're out there. But other than that, I do not know much about them.
A nice, simple 100% run. All that needs to be done is that the game is completed from beginning to end, collecting everything along the way.
Ooh.
You'd think that'd be easy in something with a small amount of short levels like the Sonic game.
Yeah.
But there's one in particular that makes such a challenge much less simple. In 2005, Sega decided to show
Shadow
the
the
world how it was
Hedgehog.
really done by blessing us with Shadow the Hedgehog. And like a chimpanzee caving
Okay, I'm just gonna say this real quick. I don't care about, like, Sonic at all, but I heard the opening song to this game, and it is actually really good.
another's head for inventing fire, the public wasn't ready for it. They wrongly assumed the game was bad simply because it wasn't very good.
Simply
But
because it
those
wasn't
of
very
us with a
good.
refined palate knew it was all downhill from here.
Oh.
They gave Shadow a gun. It's all over. What made Shadow unique compared to other Sonic games was that it featured 23 levels, when other games of the time capped out at about 14, not counting boss fights. The hook, though, was that you wouldn't be able to play all of them in a single run-through. Instead, you would get to visit particular stages depending on which of the stage's 3 objectives you chose to complete.
Alright.
This gives the game extremely varying lengths depending on the route you end up taking. A straight shot from the start of a level to the end for a pure neutral run will take about half an hour. But routes with difficult objectives, like Air Fleet tasking you with destroying the President's escape pod, or Central City having you hunt down bombs, can add on a lot of time.
Yeah.
Any route that sends you through Lost Impact is sure to get a big ol' 20 minutes added onto it as
Oh,
you
turret
get lost
section.
trying to find all the artificial chaoses. It's a good game, don't believe the papers.
Oh,
With all of these
God.
stages, it becomes clear that a full 100% run of the game will end up taking a long time.
Yeah.
You've got to A rank every level in the game, collect all 6 of the game's
You do?
unlockable guns, and level them up to full
Unlockable guns.
power. Find the 5 different hidden keys around each level, and complete the routes that come with them, and get all 10 of the possible endings.
Good lord.
Ending out with the game's secret final level. Sounds like a lot, but speedruns already on the leaderboard don't tend to go over 6 hours, so if you know what you're doing, you can clear it pretty easily.
Nice.
If you're a coward,
Oh,
see,
no.
it's not as simple as that, because all the stuff that most people count towards a 100% run of Shadow the Hedgehog, including the game itself, is what I just said.
Oh.
There is a final measuring stick for success that often goes ignored.
That
the
is?
library.
What?
The library is a feature in the game where you can replay the cutscenes from a route you've taken.
Okay.
Letting you relive the story exactly how you crafted it. Like how Shadow ventured into the Black Comet to save Earth, only to betray Sonic at the last second because he doesn't like him very much. Every entry into the library has a name associated with it, and if you thought they'd be normal, allow me to remind you what the first sound you hear when starting the game is. Punisher of Love, Bullets from Tears, Shadow surpassing Shadow, I Know the Will of Heaven, Punishment,
Oh my
Thy Name is
God.
Ruin, The Nightmare's Sublimation, Seduced by the Taste of Blood, Art.
They sound like either like some sort of JRPGs or fighting games. Like, you can't tell me some of these don't sound like fighting games to you. Or some kind of very edgy anime bit that we'd see.
Archimedes and the Tortoise?
What?
I could go on all day.
God of War?
Shadow's second death?
What?
Demise wrought by tragedy. The devil born by betrayal.
Oh my God.
Steel combat boots. Funeral procession in space. The strongest hedgehog.
The strongest.
All right, so how many of these different endings are there?
I
There are
wanna
only
know.
10 possible endings in the game, to either go hero or dark during the 5 possible final levels. So, I have to have named all 20 by this point, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's not really how the library works. I said the library will replay the cutscenes from the route you've taken, so if you want to complete the library, you have to get every combination of cutscenes possible.
Oh.
So to get a new Empire's Beginning, you have to clear the whole neutral campaign, and then pick the hero route with Omega during Lava Shelter. But if you want to get an Android's Rebellion, you have to do the dark route with Eggman instead. To clear every possible ending
everything.
and add them to the library, you have to complete Shadow the Hedgehog 163 times.
What?
Sound bad? Well, it gets worse when you remember you need to beat all those routes again, flipping the final choice you make. So
Dear
if you play through
God.
all of them once to get the hero endings, you need to replay Shadow another 163 times in order to get the dark endings instead.
Good Lord.
Frankly, the requirement to upgrade the guns is going to be paltry, seeing as you're going to be completing each route upwards of 65 times.
Good
Now, the
Lord.
reason that the library isn't counted towards 100% runs should be obvious. It'd be a
Yeah.
massive time sink if players were forced to clear
Good
the game
Lord.
326
Dear
times,
God.
and nobody would ever even attempt that. Of course, somebody has attempted it, but it's hard to tell if they came out the better for it.
Probably
The
not.
only actual, complete, 100% run of Shadow the Hedgehog
Only
was
one.
completed by the runner Blazing Zeddy, based on his favorite characters in the entire franchise. This was a
Deadly Six?
speedrunner who was already intimately familiar with the game, as he's done normal, non-library runs of the game. His library run, though, was special.
How?
As it took him 181 hours,
What?
15 minutes, and 47 seconds to complete the game over the course of 53 days.
Yeah, what the hell?
Now it is worth
How is he
pointing out that
alive?
this run is extremely segmented.
Like, I was trying to do the math in my head of how many days that would be. Until he said it. I'm just like, wow. How is he alive?
181 hours weren't done back to back. Otherwise,
okay.
the world record holder would be a corpse. 181 hours roughly equates to 7 days, so he stretched a week's worth of Shadow across those 53 days.
Okay.
Able to clear paths with some comfort thanks to the Chaos Control glitch. A glitch that allows you to move through a stage super fast thanks to Shadow's Chaos Control.
Alright.
The downside of that glitch, though, is that it has an extremely high likelihood of crashing the game. Over the 7 days worth of Shadow the Hedgehog that Zeddy played, the game ended up crashing 98 times.
God damn.
And I will forever be pissed off that he didn't crash the game 2 more times to round it out to a nice 100. Zeddy remains the only recorded case of somebody running Shadow the Hedgehog this way.
I'm
and
not
as
surprised.
a result, is not recognized on speedrun.com. In part due to his whole run not being preserved and therefore not being verifiable. What the f*** do you gain from lying about this?
Yeah.
Runs that can beat it in terms of length,
What do you gain
unfortunately
from
beat it into the sun, as this is nowhere near the longest speedrun of all time.
No.
Games that beat it include Baten Kaitos at a 14 straight day-long speedrun, and Spider, Rite of the Shrouded Moon, at 22 days.
Good lord!
How do these games take so long? I don't gotta tell you everything.
Oh
Seeing
my
as
God.
the point of a speedrun is to get to the end as fast as possible,
Yeah.
is there any end that can come faster than death? A common speedrunning category for a load of different games is death percent.
Oh.
Finding the fastest possible way to off yourself in a game is something loads of people are racing to find. One game that
Interesting.
tasks people with finding out what the inside of a casket looks like is Ultra Kill.
Oh.
Yeah, the kill you ultra can be your own. Death percent tasks players with finding the quickest ways to die, usually in the game's cyber grind mode, seeing as it comes with a built-in timer specific to the game mode. Luckily for you, Ultra Kill's high-risk, high-reward style means there are plenty of ways to stack the deck against yourself.
Alright.
2 of your weapons can cause self-damage if used improperly, one of
Yeah.
which being the rail cannon with the Maurice mod. This fires
Maurice
a huge
mod.
splash damage laser that takes a hefty bit of health from V1 if they're caught in the splash zone. It also pushes you backwards, which is extremely important to get you into the actual level as soon as possible. From there, you have to rely on the shotgun, which can be overpumped multiple times in order to deal extra damage.
Oh, yeah.
Pumping too many times, though, will inflict a nasty receipt. So after launching yourself with the rail cannon, simply overpump the shotgun, pull the trigger, and your history. These runs tend to push the boundaries of what counts as time, as the current world record is an 11-way tie with each one of them dying in 1 millisecond. The run category on speedrun.com
1
has banned
millisecond.
times of 0 seconds, so if you want to get the record, the space on the first place podium is going to be cramped. Let's say you want to marathon an entire series as death percent speedruns.
This is a very interesting idea because there are some games where they don't really have death, you know, not so much action games, but, you know, Sims, other things like that, where they try to keep you from dying because that's not the point of the game. So this is an interesting idea that I never really thought about. Sorry, my throat is a little dry today. Well, more than a little, but anyway. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, at the very least.
And let's say you have a real beef with the Scholastic Book Fair.
What?
There's a set of games perfect for you, and that's the Nancy Drew Death Percent Speedrun.
This is a thing?
The company Her Interactive has been publishing yearly Nancy Drew games from 1998 all the way up to 2015.
Wow.
Frequently double dipping and releasing 2
Never
Drew
even heard
games
of
in a
these.
single year. They're your typical point-and-click adventure
I should advise,
game.
what I meant was, these are a thing, as in, these are games. I didn't know there were... Like, I know about the Nancy Drew books, but I did not know there are games based on them. That came out of left field from me, I'll be completely honest.
And, like most entries into the genre, there are situations you can find yourself in where Nancy bites the big one and ends up dying. That's right, almost every one of the nearly 35 mainline Nancy Drew point-and-click adventure games has a situation where you can kill Nancy Drew. Well, okay, so they're not all deaths. Sometimes Nancy just screws up and is taken off the case. But there's a frankly concerning amount of games where Nancy can die.
Yeah,
These
what the
include
hell?
Building a bomb and then setting it off in your face.
What?
Dropping a chandelier on your head, falling down the stairs, getting bitten by a poisonous spider, and
What
getting
the-
attacked by a slightly aggressive house cat.
That
What's
usually
more is
wouldn't-
that certain games have multiple options to off Drew, with some options being more optimal than others. For instance, in Nancy Drew, Danger on Deception Island, fast travel around the map is done by bike riding.
Oh,
If you don't put on a helmet before riding your bike, though, there's a chance Nancy will take a header onto a rock and end up hospitalized.
What the hell?
In Nancy Drew and the Haunted Carousel, one of the earlier puzzles requires you to use a clothing iron in your hotel room. If you don't unplug the iron before going to the next location, you get a call saying you burned down the hotel and you're going to jail.
Oh my god.
The fact these are kids' point-and-click adventure games, and that means that the attempts to teach kids good lessons with game overs were used as speedrunning tech is immaculate game design. The fastest way to kill Nancy Drew, though, comes from the original game Secrets Can Kill, where entering the diner and collecting the bolt cutters without stopping a gas leak causes the whole building to blow up in only 7 seconds, with only ghost dogs of Moon Lake coming close, since all you need to do is turn to the left and walk onto some weak floorboards. The only games to lack a death percent run are Lights, Camera, Curses, and Resorting to Danger.
I'm
the two
surprised
games
there are
in the
things
Nancy
specifically
Drew
for Nancy
Dossier
Drew.
series, which appears to be the pussy branch of the Nancyverse.
What?
I know that this is a lively category because looking at the rankings on speedrun.com reveals that 2 verified Drew crew members, Ersapon and Toasterberry, are in a nuclear arms race to see who can kill Nancy Drew faster, with the 2 trading records back and forth in almost every game. Even one of the most famous speedrunning games of all time, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, has a death percent speedrun.
Huh.
And that death percent has subdivisions because of how many people were doing it.
Wow.
When you see people speedrunning this game in the Super Smash Bros. Brawl demo version, you knew people were going to be doing stuff like this. Go Home and Die percent is a speedrun tasking players to find a way to kill themselves in Link's home that you start the game in. Which sounds impossible, as there should be no way to do that since you can't use items in the house. 5 minutes later, and players found that by glitching out of the starting area, collecting bomb chews, and then dying to respawn back at your house, you can stand in front of the door to your house and jump back at the same time as a bomb chew blows you up. Jotwad and Jotwall are 2 sister speedruns that have very similar objectives. Both start similarly to Go Home and Die percent, with you escaping the opening area and then making your way to Kakariko Village. Except instead of trekking all the way back home to finish yourself off, you instead climb to the top of the Kakariko Village watchtower and jump off. So, what's the difference between a Jotwad and Jotwall run? Well, Jotwad is jump off the watchtower and die, while Jotwall is jump off the watchtower and live. To do that, you'll need to find a fairy to revive you once you jump off the tower. Which means that Jotwall runs oftentimes take 5 times as long to complete as a Jotwad run. Because the RNG of finding a fairy means much more can go wrong. There's a beautiful metaphor in here, but I choose not to find it. My favorite death percent speedrun, though, comes from the illicit drug called Factorio. Factorio hit Steam's storefront in 2020 and hit the general public like a goddamn train. This has never been a game I could see myself getting into, but only because I know I have an addictive personality. And if I invested much time into a game like this, my family would be down a son. This game is incredibly addictive, and the process of building up factories is so intricate and detailed that you'll lose hours simply connecting everything to power grids and traveling from station to station for upgrades. However, as the crippling realization that you're killing the planet's ecosystem sets in, you might want to find a way out. And barring building that rocket you need quick enough, there is one other solution. That's where a Watch Your Step speedrun of Factorio comes in.
Watch Your Step?
See, when you crash land on this alien planet, you're responsible for building everything. You mine materials to build new stuff, including conveyor belts to carry more material, and factories to build bigger and better stuff. Your massive web of interconnected systems might be taxing to travel on foot. Or you might have multiple factories humming along at the same time, working on different tasks. In order to make transportation easier, you can build trains that carry you around much faster than your little legs can. But what's funny about trains is that they work really well when you're inside of them, but when you step out, they become a lot less efficient. You guessed it. Watch Your Step percent speedruns task you with building a train, and then hitting yourself with a train. Imagine somebody landing on an alien planet and instantly losing hope. They say, I gotta kill myself. But instead of just jumping off something high or taking off your helmet, they build a decently sized and fully functional factory with the sole intent being to build a train to run yourself over with. It's not like trains are an early game build or anything. You have to work really hard to be able to build them. Ignoring any other build as you try to fulfill your dream of exiting this world via Thomas-assisted suicide. Remember, you can build guns in this game. If you're looking to exit the world via fast metal object, that'd be my first choice over a train. Watch Your Step percent speedruns sadly don't do much different compared to a regular Factorio speedrun, aside from end a lot earlier. So if you're trying to speedrun the game already, why not take a little time to see what life is like on the other side of the tracks? Particularly the middle. Now, all of this can sound really hard. I mean, do you know how much effort goes into building a train? I do, and the results speak for themselves. Speedruns are hard work. Undoubtedly, the hardest part is the actual execution. Nailing sometimes frame-perfect inputs back-to-back sounds maddening.
Yeah, that's why I don't think about doing it.
Barrier for entry for those who want to get into
because I knew I would screw up.
Well, I'm glad to say that there's a speedrun for you. One where inputs like that aren't just not required, but outright banned.
What?
In 1988, Texas-based teacher Cheryl Leach noticed how children were more willing to listen to dinosaurs than their own parents.
What? We're going into a Barney video game? What is happening? What do I even say anymore?
And use that information to craft 3 direct-to-VHS shorts called Barney and the Backyard Gang, which would eventually become the series Barney and Friends. This was largely considered a mistake. Barney became the baby show of the 90s and early 2000s.
It really did.
And with his popularity came an amount of hatred mostly saved for terrorists. Teenagers and adults hated Barney so goddamn much.
He was very annoying.
Like, there's not liking something and finding it annoying, and then there's death threat hatred.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of the youth knows just how easy it was to find videos of people wishing death on a purple dinosaur.
Yeah.
All this motherfucker did was say that you should hug people and learn to count. I hope you die! I hope you die and go to hell where you belong, you evil motherfucker! Hating back then was a completely different beast, man. Imagine now if a large majority of the adult population agreed that Bluey should be dragged out into the streets and shot. It was like that. I was there. I remember being told all the Barney rumors. The most popular one in my town was that Barney actors were the biggest career criminals they could find, and that there was a prison in Arizona dedicated to...
There are so many rumors about Barney, like, secretly being evil in some way. There's so many. I never watched him as a kid for obvious reasons of... Well, I like cool dinosaurs, but yeah, I don't remember any of the rumors, to be honest, but there were a lot of crazy ones.
Housing Barney actors, because they wouldn't stop selling drugs to children.
What?
One of the oldest operating websites on the entire internet is a page where you can shoot Barney. Anyway, before that webpage in 1995, the most accessible way to kill Barney was Barney's hide-and-seek game for the Genesis in 1993.
Really?
The game's tutorial is its title. The game is a simple hide-and-seek game where you, as Barney, have to go around these maps, find all the objects and friends you can, and then leave. It has a review, and is the only Barney game to ever be released on console instead of the PC. As you can tell, there really isn't a lot to say about hide-and-seek, except that this game is an incredibly popular speedrunning game.
What?
With records being held by a baby, multiple different dogs, crowds of people, and the game itself.
What?
Truly the DDT Iron Heavy Metalweight Championship of speedrunning. So, what's the gimmick here?
Okay, let me hear it.
Since Barney is a game designed for extremely young children, they put in a safety mechanic so that if a child got lost or distracted, Barney would take over control and start to play the game for you.
Oh.
He doesn't just get you back on track either, Barney will complete entire levels if left on his own. Which got some people thinking. it, I got 9 minutes to burn. Thus began any percent, no controller. The rules of this run are simple. Start the game without a controller plugged in.
Oh.
The game ends when Barney is able to finish the game for you. And you're not allowed to use any inputs or influence Barney in any way.
Wow.
That sounds like it'd be really boring, seeing
Yeah.
as there wouldn't be any variance in how the game is played.
Yeah.
Barney's gonna take the exact same path every time, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's where Barney gets a little sassy.
What?
See, a large part of this run comes down to RNG, as Barney will take different routes each time, doing randomly selected tasks in different orders. Not only that, but he'll also randomly comment on elements you pass in the game, like talking to his animal friends or asking the player to press a button when they see a present. Little does he know, I can't do that even if I wanted to. Like I said, you can't press any buttons, so you just have to hope that Barney plans on moving optimally instead of smelling every flower he sees. Of course, for a category like this, there is no strategy.
Yeah.
What separates the fastest run of 9 minutes and 8
Is RNG.
seconds from the slowest run of 10 minutes and 18 seconds is simply how Barney was feeling when you turned the Genesis on. That didn't stop this from becoming a super popular category to run.
Really?
With over 100 runs in just the solo, no controller category. Oh yeah, there's a co-op, no
What?
controller category as well.
How does that work?
Which was really just created because people wanted to watch Barney jump around with their friends. The simplicity of this run has, like I said, led the run to be completed by its intended audience of babies.
Okay.
Dogs who just have to watch the screen as the game plays, and even entire speedrunning events that hosted Barney speedruns for people to watch live. This one from the Benelux Speedrunner Gathering is such a joy to watch as the crowd gets more and more hyped,
Why?
cheering and booing Barney depending on what he's doing, chanting for Barney and doing big crowd motions.
It's sort of like a
I don't
gambling
want to
ring
sound
of
too
seeing what he'll
sappy,
do.
but it really does showcase what can make speedrunning so great. Everybody here came to this event because they love speedrunning.
Yeah.
And now get to gather around and have a great time cheering for a run that doesn't even have a controller plugged in.
It's kind of crazy.
These sorts of moments where everybody gets on the same page, no matter how dumb it is what makes speedrunning so fun.
Yeah.
This has got to be the
can see
first
it.
time Barney's ever seen a large group of people happy to see him.
Yeah. Dear God, so many people hated Barney. I don't think I knew anyone that liked Barney, but I didn't know anyone that hated him to the degrees that some other people did. It's, yeah. People hated Barney so much. Anyway. Thank you all so much. If you want more, consider heading over to Patreon to check out some of our stuff where we're watching Transformers G1. And yeah, some other stuff we might do. So, thank you all so much. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Take care of yourselves. Check out Fable's channel where he's looking at a bunch of, you know, other stuff. And I'll see you guys all later. Take care of yourselves. And be good to yourselves.